Today I'm launching a second series for this channel, which I hope will give you some great insight into the firearms, grenades and other weapons used by the Russian forces over the years. History of Arms will go into the detail around specific topics, giving you great background detail on the development, history and usage of different items in the Russian arsenal, while hopefully teaching you something new and being entertaining to watch and listen to. Today I'll be going into one of the most unique and interesting Russian rifle families. Not just because it's my favourite, but because it spans so many years and has so many truly interesting rifles. This is the history of the 9x39 family. Development of the 9x39 type began quite some time before it was completed, starting in the 40s and ending in the 80s during the middle of the Soviet-Afghan War. The 9x39mm was intended to fill somewhat of a niche gap, being a subsonic round with a higher penetration and greater range than pistol cartridges that could be used in a suppressed manner by the Spetsnaz units in either recon circumstances or really anywhere where low noise was a priority. The round itself was derived from the 7.62x39, which had recently been brought into use alongside the original AK-47 when this round was first being developed. The two ammo types actually share a cartridge, and the neck of the round is basically stretched out to compensate for including a 9.3mm diameter bullet. At its release, the 9x39 came in two variants, known as the SP5 and the SP6. The SP5, seen here in my hand, is a traditional lead-cored FMJ intended as a sniper cartridge, and is similar in construction to other 7.62x39 rounds that we now have on the market today for us. The SP6, on the other hand, which is identified by its crayon or Crayola tip, as I like to call them, is a hardened core armour penetrating round, which was capable of penetrating through 8mm of steel plating at a distance of 100 metres and still being able to damage a soft target behind it. While these two rounds were released alongside the original pair of 9x39 rifles, being the sniper variant VSS Vintorez and the assault rifle AS Val, there is no specific ammo type that is solely issued to one rifle, and in fact all the 9x39 rifles that I talk about today can use any of the myriad of cartridge variants in existence today, which is not just limited to the SP5 and SP6 that they originally came out with. I've also got a pair of these awesome upscaled 9x39mm rounds to give away to one of you viewers, so stay tuned to the end of the video to find out how to enter for that. Developed by the Tula Arms plant and released as one of the primary rifles for the 9x39 round, the VSS Vintorez was released in 1987 and added to the arsenal of the late Soviet KGB units of the time. The Vintorez was a compact silent sniper rifle that offered a new way of covertly taking out assailants for the KGB. With a thumbhole stock reminiscent of the SVD and a 10-round magazine, it was very useful at all ranges in the field and in urban environments for taking out enemies. Its sister rifle, the AS Val, is an assault rifle variant of the VSS and uses around 80% of the same parts both internally and externally, with the main differences being the change to a metal folding stock and a polymer pistol grip, as well as being issued with a 20-round polymer magazine. Functionally and performance-wise, the VSS and the AS Val are basically the same rifle. They both have a side-mounted safety lever, a fire selector recessed into the trigger guard, and they both also have a dovetail on the side for mounting any AKN style optic on a dovetail. Alex from the future here, and I just want to drop a really quick shout out to the awesome company Raw Design, who are the creators of the t-shirt that I'm wearing in this video. Raw was started by a great guy in Russia producing tactical themed clothing and streetwear. He also helped design several other t-shirts that are currently available on my website, and these Raw AS Val tops are incredibly good quality and really comfortable, and they just look awesome in my opinion. You can find links to them on my store, as well as the Raw Design Instagram page in the description of the video below. Back to the video. Both the VSS and AS Val were built with semi and fully automatic functionality. However, neither rifle was really designed for sustained automatic shooting. It was quite common for these rifles to suffer failures within a few magazines if firing in auto mode, and it was intended as more of an emergency fire option if the user didn't have easy access to a more sturdy automatic weapon like an AK. With a rated muzzle velocity of just under 300 meters per second and an effective range of about 300 meters, both of these weapons could handle themselves in a covert environment as well as a more direct combat situation. The AS Val, like I have here, would eventually be seen more in use as a CQB weapon by the MVD and FSB units due to its reduced noise in closed buildings and corridors, and a lot of the guys at that time weren't wearing hearing protection that was of the same standard as we have today. As both the VSS and AS Val began to be used more in urban environments, it became apparent that a rifle of a smaller scale than these two would be beneficial. This resulted in the development of the SR3 Vicar, meaning Whirlwind, which was released in 1995 and is what I would call generation 1.5 of the 9x39 family. The SR3 benefited from a stock that folded over the top of the receiver, making it much more compact than the previous versions of this rifle. This stock had a hole in the top of it to allow the rear iron sight to still be used while the stock was folded, and the rifle was also fitted with a side dovetail rail which could be used even when the stock was folded up, though optics did need to be removed to unfold the stock. It was also the first 9x39 rifle that did not come with a suppressor, and it wasn't possible to fit a suppressor to the original SR3. Used by the FSB in the 90s as a much more concealable and carryable weapon, the SR3 was a rather expensive tool for its limited uses and was never fully adopted for mass production. Instead, it was updated to produce a rifle more heavily based on the AS Val, but with the option of a removable suppressor and a larger 30-round magazine. This variant is known as the SR3M. Functionally identical to all of its predecessors, the SR3M is the ultimate compilation of learning from the original Tula rifle line. With a quick detach suppressor, a new polymer handguard with built-in folding foregrip, and a return to the side folding stock of the AS Val. The SR3M is a true beast in the field, and saw much more of an uptake than its earlier variant, the SR3. There are several airsoft replicas of the SR3M as well, denoted the Cardan variant. These included a different alternative railed handguard, unlike the standard models seen here, and are named after the operator who this handguard was originally 3D printed for as a modification. Taking a step away from real steel for the moment to discuss airsoft replicas. These two rifles that I have before me show the differences in production between the Russian-made AS Val, produced by 9x39 STO, and the Chinese-made SR3M from LCT. These two rifles have a cost difference of around £150 to £200, swinging more expensively in the way of the Russian one. But to me, this is a cost that is definitely worth the benefits for these firearms. It is not currently legal to export any 9x39 firearms from Russia to China, so the LCT one has really been based more on estimates in dimensions from whatever they can get, while the Russian one is much closer to the real steel sizes and only differs in a few ways where airsoft internals have to be fitted into this rifle. This can really be seen in the suppressor, which is a wider diameter on the LCT and will not fit real attachments like the 9x39 one will. The receiver, which is just in general much larger and a slightly different shape, and can cause some issues with mounting certain optics where the dovetail rail is a little bit shallower than this upper receiver. And the stock, which on the SR3M from LCT is actually slightly narrower and smaller and has a little bit of a different shape compared to the AS Val 1x9x39. The material quality as well, especially on the magazines, is much higher on the AS Val. The STO also has an advantage in the fact that it is still compatible with the much more readily available LCT magazines, unlike the other alternative Russian-made one, which is the MPO AEG. The LCT comes readily available, pre-upgraded with a 6.01 stainless barrel, an upgraded and shimmed steel gears gearbox, a high-torque motor, and a full metal CNC hop unit, meaning it performs brilliantly out of the box, and mine shoots at around 348, 346 FPS consistently, with good hopping on BBs, and I haven't touched it other than dialing in the hop unit. In more recent years, the VSS has had a major refurnishing and overhaul externally, denoted the VSS M. This brings the rifle solidly into the 21st century and boasts a rail dust cover, railed suppressor section, and a skeletonized polymer stock with adjustable cheek and shoulder rests. This variant has also recently started to see production kits from some airsoft manufacturers, namely the Russian ones like STO and MPO AEG. I don't believe that LCT are making one of these currently, but I'm sure it's in the pipeline. The AS Val, on the other hand, has stayed pretty much the same, with only the furniture changing from a browner plum polyamide to the black polymer over the years. Its main accessory throughout all this time has been the B3 mount ring from Zenitco, and this functions really as the main tactical accessory and adapter for the weapon, and also for the VSS and SR3M as well. This rifle is still seen heavily in use with both FSB and MVD forces today, particularly with some SOBA units with heavy accessorized loadouts like I have in some of my photos of mine that have been up recently. Commonly seen on both the VSS and the AS Val are both scoped optics and collimator red dot sights, fitted via rail mounts like either the Zenitco B13 or this UTG MNT 978 from Leaper's UTG, along with a myriad of torches from Zenitco to Surefire and other brands, forward grips like this TDI AVG one that I have here, and pec boxes as well from a variety of different manufacturers. My personal setup currently, which you can see in the photo here, consists of the TDI AVG grip, soon to be fitted with a Surefire G2X Pro torch and a TDI BTK2 mount, the EOTech 551 sight fitted via the UTG mount, and a lovely SSO 3-point tactical sling. Generation 2 of the 9x39 rifle family split into two lines, and for this we need to take a little bit of a step back in time to 1994 when these were both released. On one side we have the heavily adopted VSK94 and 9A91 produced by KBP. These were made as cheaper alternatives to the original VSS and AS Val rifles, primarily for the MVD and OMON use. On the other hand, we have the much less common OTS rifles made by Skib SSO, sorry if I've pronounced that wrongly, which were a small company made from several former Tula designers. Two 9x39 OTSs exist, which are the OTS 12 TIS and the more recognisable OTS 14 Groza. These two rifles were both different designs that modified the existing and proven AK platform, with the OTS 12 serving as a 9x39 chambered AKS-74U that ultimately saw very little take-up and was quickly discontinued. The Groza, on the other hand, had seen much more interest, and with it being a highly specialised bullpup built around the same 74U platform, it did see some more uptake by the forces over the years. Available in both 7.62x39 and 9x39, this spectacle of 90s engineering is a true Marmite weapon. Originally intended for the MVD to use in the close quarters environments of Chechnya, this rifle was designed and produced very quickly and was eventually adopted by other armed force specialised groups, such as those within the VDV. The rifle design was actually done by the creator of the GP25 and GP30 grenade launchers, and could have its forward grip swapped for one which contained an internally mounted unit based on these for firing the popular VOG rounds. It also sported a carry handle on top, which is capable of being used for an optics mount in a similar way to the US's XM4 rifle range. Despite this being seen as a very useful and well-designed gun, it was rather expensive and didn't see much use after the first few years of the Chechen conflict, with units either disposing of them for newer rifles or being unable to afford them for the most part. Many armories in Russia do contain Groza, but a lot of them only have a single or a handful of magazines in the armoury, and they're suitable for use on the range and for very short operations or as parade rifles, but they don't really get seen much out in the field these days. On the more successful side of the scales, we have the VSK94 sniper rifle and 9A91 assault rifle. Much like their predecessors, the VSS and the Val, these rifles share the same core components and internal design, with the main differences being in the stock and pistol grip. Both of these rifles took a similar design choice to the SR3M that would come out a few years later, in having the suppressor being optional and removable in the field, unlike the integral designs of the Gen 1 rifles. Both of these rifles saw major uptake within the MVD forces, especially by OMON units due to their affordability and usability. Their simple design and basic components allowed for a much more low-budget option for units to gain access to the 9x39 round within their arsenal, and the rifles are still seen in heavy numbers today. The VSK-94 has a polymer stock that is squarer and much more simplified than the one on the original VSS. The hollow plastic of this stock allowed the weapon to be much lighter, and this was something that was adopted as part of the VSSM package later on. The 9A91, like the one in front of me, uses a similar stock design to the original SR3 model, with a fold-up design that comes out of the top of the receiver and clicks down at the back. Similarly to the SR3, this also has a hole in it to allow the rear eye and sight to still be used, and can sit flush enough to sit an optic over the top if needed. Both of these rifles haven't really changed at all in their design over the years, and they've both proven to be popular and cheap designs that are still used today. The 9A91 has seen some change over the years, and it has actually had several variants of handguard fitted to it, with the NPO AEG model in front of me being fitted with the ribbed Generation 2 handguard. Currently, only NPO AEG and STO 9x39 produce both the VSK-94 and 9A91, and these are both really high replicas that come very well made and beautifully finished out of the box, just like the AS-Val that you've seen previously. Like I said before, the NPO model comes with the Generation 2 ribbed handguard, while the STO model is actually produced with the earlier 90s smooth handguard variant, and both companies also offer their own slight variant of Generation 3 railed handguards, which, similar to the VSSM package, offer a tri-rail on it, and this rifle is also capable of being fitted with any of the Zenitco accessories like the B3 that you've seen for the AS-Val. This 9A91 is a really wonderful bit of kit that is ideal for many a loadout and really something unique to show off on the field. Personally, I have a favourite of the 9x39 model, though I've not actually seen one in person, but it's purely fair design choice to make the handguard contain the battery, whereas on the NPO model, the handguard sits within the suppressor itself, and the barrel internally goes from the hop unit here all the way up to the end of the suppressor. This can make it difficult, and they do offer a package which allows you to remove this, put a barrel nut on it, and put a shorter barrel on it. However, I really prefer the STO design where it's all kept within inside and the suppressor is actually a removable barrel extension, which makes it much easier to change out in the field and really makes it feel much more like the real gun that you can use when you're playing airsoft. And finally, as what I would kind of consider Generation 3 of the 9x39 family, is the AK-9 rifle. This saw very few units actually produced, and it was never really adopted into mass production or used by any army branch to any detail. The AK-9 is a 9x39 chambered variant on the AK-100 series carbine-length Kalashnikov rifle. It was fitted with upgraded furniture that included a tri-rail on the lower handguard, similar to what was included as part of the AK-74 M3 upgrade kit. And it was also issued with a specially designed QD suppressor that fit onto the muzzle, which was somewhat reminiscent in its design to the PBS-1 of Soviet eras. This is an interesting rifle, but it hasn't seen much use, not being adopted, and there aren't many photos of it around. It's a lot more of a collector thing, and there tends to be more airsofters that create these from various bits rather than actually ones that we've seen in use. Thanks to my friend Bryn, who lent me his LCT SR3M for this video, as well as Jacob, who makes these awesome upscaled 9x39 rounds. He's an awesome creator that 3D prints some really cool stuff, and you're going to see a lot more things made by him coming in the future in my videos. If you would like to win this pair of rounds that I have in front of me, or a similar pair, then just make sure to subscribe to my channel, Comment in the comment section below this video about what your favourite rifle is of the 9x39 family, and don't forget to have your messages open so that I can contact you if you win. I'll be drawing the winner at the end of October, and a pair of these rounds, either painted or unpainted, your choice, will be shipped to you free of charge wherever you are worldwide. If you've enjoyed this delve into the history and design and development of the various 9x39 chambered rifles seen in use with the Russian Armed Forces, then please drop the like on this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and put a comment as well to enter my giveaway, and make sure to hit that notification button so you know when I go up next with a video. I'm going to leave you now with a little montage of some of my favourite images showing rifles like the AS Val, VSK94 and OTS-14 Groza in use to finish with. I've been Russ for Life, thanks for watching and have a great day.